Hi, I'm Olivia,
Hi, I'm Maggie.
and this is Girls Talk Film.
This is Girls Talk Film.
It is, and we're the girls.
And we're going to be talking about some films today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And today we have a very interesting topic.
Very interesting, very adult.
Very adult, slightly controversial.
Yeah, I feel like we should give a little bit of like a warning.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about sexual content, sexual activity. Spoiler alert, the topic of today's episode is sex work and how sex work is portrayed in film.
Yes, if you didn't read the title
Yes.
for whatever reason, that is what we're talking about. And that is what you're about to listen to.
Yeah, or if you didn't look at the thumbnail.
Yeah. If you clicked blindly.
Yeah. But I feel like it's important to say just so
Definitely.
people don't get offended by what we're talking about, because the movies we watch, some of them are pretty explicit.
And I think we should also just make very clear, we are not sex workers.
I didn't think anyone thought that, Olivia.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that point. I think you could take a little bit of a look at us and know that. But
Yeah.
Just that we are not experts on the subject matter, nor are we passing judgment on people who work in the sex industry. We are simply talking about how sex work is portrayed in the 3 films that we watched this week.
Absolutely. I kind of think we should just go for it.
You think we should just get into it?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about these 3 films.
Me too, and I have a decent amount to say.
Yeah, especially this first movie. You and I talked about it before, but
Yes.
oh boy.
So the first film that we're going to be speaking about today is from 1990. It is probably, I would say, the most like iconic film about sex work.
Totally.
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman, directed by Gary Marshall, written by J.F. Lawton.
Yes, it is a rom-com, and it initially premiered in March 1990 as a wide theatrical release. It was distributed by Touchstone Pictures, and the film grossed $463 million worldwide at the time of its release.
Which today would be like over $1 billion.
Yeah. At the time, it was the 5th highest grossing film of all time. So this made a pretty big splash when it first premiered.
Yeah, Gary Marshall was like kind of the man back then. He's done a lot of really great movies. Penny Marshall, his sister, is also like a really huge director.
I feel like I've heard her name.
Yeah, they're both really big. So
Okay.
like it doesn't shock me. Richard Gere was like a big actor at that time, and Julia Roberts was like known, but this is like the role that breaks her out. So
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
not a
this was like
surprise.
her star-making
She was
performance.
everywhere after this movie.
Yeah.
I watched this movie with my mom, and she said, she was like, you cannot believe the explosion she had in Hollywood after this. She was like, every single movie she was in it. It was
can
crazy.
imagine.
Yeah.
Wow. And it actually received mixed reviews from critics when it was released, even though Roberts' performance was very widely praised. So I guess this must have just been a kind of word of mouth audience hit.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a critical hit.
Again, I think it's just kind of like, I think I said this back when we did fairy tales on film with Ever After, and I was like, it's just so 90s, and it's like Drew Barrymore was so big at that time. I feel like Pretty Woman gives kind of like the whole, it's the new Gary Marshall movie, and Julia Roberts is in it, and Richard Gere is in it, and like, you know, he was kind of like a heartthrob back then, I guess.
That's so interesting to me.
I don't know. I'm assuming because he was kind of like leading man in all these movies.
Yeah, I guess just like a heartthrob. That's truly just because I personally don't see him as a heartthrob.
I personally don't find him very attractive.
Yeah, but again, you know, it's a personal thing.
Yeah. The movie was initially conceived as a dark drama about prostitution in LA in the 80s. The script was called 3000, and Vivian, who is Julia Roberts' character, was originally written to be a drug addict. And then one of the producers, Laura Ziskin, considered these elements detrimental to a sympathetic portrayal of Vivian and removed them, which is kind of interesting because there are other characters who like have drug issues in this movie, but Vivian herself doesn't do drugs.
Well, that is kind of overall, I would say I was pretty lukewarm on this film, to give my kind of 2 cents before we really get into the plot. It felt, I know it was released in 1990, but I feel like its messaging is so rooted in like 1980s American capitalism. This movie is a capitalist fantasy. It is wish fulfillment. It is fantasy. And I did feel while watching the film that the film goes through many lengths to present Vivian as exceptional for her profession. Vivian is a prostitute, and the film does a lot to kind of reassure the audience that no, she's not like the other prostitutes.
Right.
She's special.
Right. She's different.
And which makes her somehow more deserving of the fantasy that she gets in the film. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So the film opens on Edward Lewis, who is played by Richard Gere, leaving a business party in the Hollywood Hills. He takes his lawyer Philip's car and finds himself driving through the red light district on Hollywood Boulevard. He pulls over to ask for directions from a streetwalker who is played by Julia Roberts. Her name is Vivian Ward.
Fun fact, all three movies introduce the female main characters by showing us them, like, their private parts.
Yes. And
all
I think
three.
All three. And I do think that some films do it in a more interesting way than others.
Totally.
This was probably, in my opinion, the least interesting opening nude shot.
It's just to show sexy woman.
Yes.
Sexy Julia Roberts.
Exactly.
But yeah, we don't know too much about Vivian. We get to know a little bit more about her later on. And Vivian, like, literally just gets in Richard's car, or not Richard, gets in Edward's car.
Oh my God, I was calling him Richard too.
Yeah. But because he, like, can't drive this car that he borrowed because he's an idiot. And she is like, I'll give you $20, or give me $20 and I'll, like, take you to your hotel. Edward accepts the offer and they drive to the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel, which is, like, super bougie. He impulsively hires her for the whole night, and despite the initial awkwardness, they have sex in the penthouse. But can I just say really quick, I'm trying not to curse. I don't know if you could tell because our moms are not a fan of us cursing. So I'm going to try my best because we're already talking about sex work.
Like, we're already, like, wading in the filth.
Yeah.
Let's keep it as clean as we can.
Yeah. So this is for you, Mom, and Olivia's mom. I really, really, really hate the dynamic between Edward and Vivian.
I do too.
I think I get the whole thing is she's like a fish out of water in these, like, fancy, like, situations. She is way too childlike.
Yes.
She is so, like, she's a grown woman, keep in mind. She does not act like a grown woman at all. She literally comes in, she's like, wow, you got a TV and I bet you can see the ocean from your hotel suite, mister. And, like, he looks at her like, oh, she's so charming. She's not the disgusting hooker I thought she'd be. Like, he literally is, like, charmed by it, and it's so infuriating. Like, I just hated it.
I so didn't expect him to actually solicit her. Like, they were like, they're really getting along in the car. Like, he seems to have, like, this kind of growing interest in her. So I was expecting them to go to the hotel room and that he would be, like, the good guy and just hang out with her and chat with her. So when he does solicit her, I was really let down.
I was hoping he would pay her and not sleep with her.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Especially because she is very, like, pushy because she wants to make money that night, obviously.
Of course.
Also, she's like, I don't take less than 100. That's crazy.
That
like,
is wild.
Girl, up your price. You're Julia Roberts.
Yeah, you look like that.
Yeah. And your price is less than 100?
Wild. And what would that be today? Like 500?
Yeah.
That's
maybe.
not a lot.
No. And also, she's like, I don't know if you could afford it. Because he's like, how much to save for the whole night? And she's like, you couldn't afford it. Bitch, you're in the penthouse in the, like, Beverly Regis. I think he can afford it.
He can definitely afford it.
Yeah, I find him kind of insufferable in this movie.
Same.
Not gonna lie. So the next day, Edward asks Vivian to stay for the week. Basically, like, he's doing these business deals, and for whatever reason, he feels like he needs to have a date there. Later in the movie, I will mention how stupid I find this. Like, why does she need to be there for half the scenes? But whatever.
I don't know. I do think, again, the kind of very upper class business world is not a world I'm familiar with. I could see the need. I could understand that there might be, like, a need to have a date for appearance's sake.
Certain places, yes. But at one point they go to a dinner and it's so awkward that she's there. And I'm like, why did she need to be there?
No, true.
But yeah, he's like trying to acquire this shipbuilding company. It's stupid. My brain turns off every time he has a business scene in this movie.
Yeah, and the film like really doesn't do a lot to make you invested in it.
And there's so many scenes with it. And I'm like, I just don't care. But Vivian, after some negotiating, they agree on $3,000 for her to stay for 6 days. And he also gives her like his credit card to buy appropriate clothes because she has like
a bunch of fancy events to attend.
Yeah.
So yeah, Vivian tries to go shopping on Rodeo Drive famously, and rude saleswomen turn her away because of how she's dressed, which is very much like a prostitute. She asked the hotel manager, Barney, who is played by Hector Elizondo, for assistance.
Can I interrupt really quick?
Yes.
I learned this while watching this movie. So Gary Marshall and Hector Elizondo have like been longtime friends for like forever. And he has appeared in every single one of Gary Marshall's movies.
Oh, that's fun.
He calls him his good luck charm.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
that actually is
just
really
a fun
cute.
little fun fact.
No, I like that.
Yeah. But Barney sends out for a cocktail dress for Vivian's dinner that she has to attend that evening. And he also teaches her table etiquette. I thought this scene was kind of funny.
This is funny. I mean, it's very like Princess Diaries.
Which is also Gary Marshall.
No.
Yes.
Gary Marshall loves a makeover.
He loves a makeover. He loves a table etiquette scene. He loves a fish out of water.
That is kind of crazy because the Princess Diaries is kind of essentially PG Pretty Woman. It's just like a similar kind of Pygmalion My Fair Lady sort of thing, sort of concept. But oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but that was a cute scene. That night, Edward is astounded by Vivian's transformation, which so funny.
Which like she just looks like how she looked, but like in a nice dress.
She literally is just wearing a nice dress and her hair is like pinned back.
Yeah.
At dinner, he introduces Jim Morse, who's the owner of the company that he's trying to acquire. This dinner goes horribly wrong. Morse is unhappy with Edward's plan to dismantle his company. It gets like super awkward super quickly. And like basically the business deal is like not going well.
Yeah. Later, Edward opens up to Vivian about his life. He talks about his estranged relationship with his late father. This is kind of the scene where they start building a bond beyond the deal that they've made.
Yes, which I might be getting this wrong, but I'm pretty sure earlier in the movie he says like only rule is like don't catch feelings because I don't have time for that because he's kind of like business first, relationship second kind of guy.
Yes.
That's why his girlfriend breaks up with him in the beginning of the movie.
And that's why he hires someone to attend events with him, is because he like literally just doesn't want to deal with like a girlfriend situation.
So Edward learns that Vivian was kind of like turned away by these snobby people on Rodeo Drive. So he goes with her to go shopping. She gets all these really nice clothes. This actually is probably my favorite scene in the movie.
It's the best scene.
It's like
the
a
best
fun
scene.
montage.
It's the 80s late capitalism wish fulfillment. But
yes.
like that's fun.
Yeah, it's cute in a like if you can just kind of ignore that part of it.
No, but it is fun to see her like tell off the saleswomen.
Yeah, she goes into the same shop that she was turned away in and gives the very iconic line where she's like, "You work on commission, right?"
Big mistake.
Huge. So the next day, Edward takes Vivian as his date to a polo match. She's wearing my favorite outfit, by the way, in this movie.
Is that the white?
It's like the polka dot, the brown polka dot. So cute. Her outfits from like the shopping scene on.
Yeah, her outfits eat.
When Edward's lawyer, Philip, who is played by George Costanza, what's his name? Jason Alexander.
Yes.
Who I like. I like Seinfeld.
Yeah, no, he's great. And he's good in this. I thought he like did a decent job.
Yeah, he's serviceable. But Philip sees Vivian talking to David Morse, who is part of this business deal that's not going well. And she's literally just saying hi from dinner the other night. Philip tells Edward that he has suspicions about Vivian being a corporate spy. And Edward dismisses Philip's concerns by explaining that she's not a spy, she's a prostitute, and he's hired her.
So yeah, now with the knowledge of Vivian's true background, Philip very crudely and aggressively like propositions her for her services.
Yeah, it's a very like belittling scene.
back in Edward's suite, Vivian is very angry with Edward for telling Philip that she's a prostitute and like kind of putting her in that situation. And then he admits that he was also kind of jealous of Vivian talking to David, and like that's why he shared that, which is like, she literally was just saying hi.
Yeah, I don't get his jealousy, but also I don't really get why she's so hurt by him.
Yeah.
Because Edward is totally unaware that Philip goes up and starts acting like a creep. And I think that's what's upsetting her, is she takes it as like, oh, so what? You're like saying that once you're done with me, you can like pass me around to your friends. Mm-hmm. But Edward is like totally in the dark. Edward is, all he did was say like, no, she's not a spy, so don't worry about it. If you really need to know, she's an escort. And I, you know, kind of like bought her for the week, which still isn't cool, but also like that is
what's
the arrangement.
Happening. Yeah. Like he's not lying or saying anything negative about her character. That just is the situation. So yeah, Edward, kind of to apologize, takes Vivian by a private jet to see La Traviata at the San Francisco Opera, which is a story about a prostitute who falls in love with a wealthy man. Yeah, that's like what the opera's about. So
that's so stupid. Like,
I mean, I don't know, if it was a better movie, I would think it was clever, but it's just like not a movie that calls for like a self-referential like meta insert.
Well, also this movie is like so self-righteous with like, look, he's saving her and he's giving her a better life. So the fact that it's like about a prostitute who falls in love with a wealthy man, it's like, look, like movie watchers, like,
like wink wink.
And the fact that she is so moved by it, I mean, she was like fighting back tears at the end of it. It's a little
much.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, she's very moved by it. And then that night, after she thinks Edward has fallen asleep, Vivian like whispers that she loves him, which that comes out of nowhere.
Well, crazy. They've known each other for
days.
A week, not even.
Love?
Yeah.
Love is crazy.
She kisses him on the mouth, which like she famously said she doesn't do.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, she's letting herself in. She's being a bit more vulnerable. And then that same night, she's like, I love you. I was like, whoa.
And it's like, I feel like we haven't seen too much of her growing to like him.
Yeah, not really.
Like, it felt so out of nowhere. I was so shocked when that happened.
So the agreed upon time is almost up, but Edward offers Vivian a condo and an allowance and promised to visit her regularly. He basically is like, look, I like you. I want to get you your own apartment. You can get a car. And I just kind of want to see you when I can, but I'm busy with work. And Vivian is really offended and she feels like he's treating her like a prostitute. My question is,
a prostitute.
It's not even, well, like, true.
But part of me was kind of just like, I don't know.
Okay, but she tells him that she has this fantasy. She's like, I always just imagine like this knight would come in and save me. And I thought it would be you, and you're just like the rest. Girl, he is rich. He is nice. He likes you. He's offering you your own apartment, which is probably going to be so nice, your own car, and an allowance. And all you have to do is like, to date him, not even to like just like sleep with him. Like he likes her. He wants to like take care of her. I was like, why would you ever turn that down?
Yeah,
like,
it's wild of her to turn it down.
Give me the offer.
And then it's like, I hate to be this person. Like, I hate to bring my like 21st century thing into it, but it's like, of course she has to be rescued. Like, of course, like her thing is that but like her dream is for a man to come and rescue her.
He basically is though.
No,
I don't know what she wants.
He's like, already doing
she
it.
She wants him to like marry her.
Yeah.
And it's like, baby, it's been a week.
Yeah.
And like, also I said to my mom, I was like, because she refuses. She's like, no. I was like, so what? She's gonna like sleep with these like losers? Like what? What logic is that? Why wouldn't you sleep with the hot like
the guy
rich
that
guy
you like, who's literally offering you a chance at a better life?
I understand that she's like, no, I don't want it to be like a transaction, but it's like, okay, but also like,
what, girl? What's your other option? Like, what's
in this moment?
Yeah,
it's not like they've been dating for months or for years, and he's still doing this. They've known each other for a week. Like, you got to let it simmer for a little bit.
Exactly. And it's like, what you've been doing has been working so far. Like, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep chipping away at him.
Who knows? Just get a week in the apartment, and maybe he'll be like, "I love you." Like, let's stop doing this.
Exactly. But yeah, she like kind of freaks out. And Edward meets with Morse of the shipbuilding company that he's trying to acquire. and chooses, instead of taking his company to dismantle it, he decides that, we should work together to save the company because, of course, Vivian's kindness.
She's melted his ice cold heart.
Exactly.
Which like leads him to make bad business decisions. Like, okay.
And his lawyer, Philip, is like so upset because he's like, you just ruined like a massive payout that we could have gotten.
You just lost us millions of dollars.
Yeah. And Edward's like, I don't care. And then Philip goes to the Beverly Wilshire to like confront him and finds Vivian alone. And he is like blaming her for the changes that he's noticed in Edward lately. And he hits her and attempts to assault her, which this was very shocking to me when I first saw it. I just wasn't expecting this kind of film to go there.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, we see Philip being a creep before, but he goes from like making like pervy comments to her and like touching her shoulder to like full on attacking her.
Yeah.
As someone who likes to watch Seinfeld, it was very upsetting to watch George Costanza try to assault somebody.
I felt the same way. It was so weird to watch.
It's so like uncanny.
Yeah.
Before he can attack her, Edward arrives, pulls Philip off of Vivian, punches him, and fires him. And of course, it's so like savior, like,
of course.
And don't get me wrong, I love a cliche, cheesy romance trope, plot point, whatever. It didn't work for me here.
I agree. I guess the main sin of Pretty Woman is that I didn't buy the romance. If it's a rom-com, I need to be invested in the romance. Mm-hmm. It's the only way that a rom-com works. I don't think they necessarily had bad chemistry. I just felt like their relationship was so underdeveloped and progressed in such a weirdly fast way.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like they meet and immediately they have this like romance between them, and it's like, but why? It's so much better to see that happen organically, to see it blossom. And I said to you, I was like, I'm a hopeless romantic. I love romance. I love romance movies, rom-coms, whatever. When your two characters kiss or get together and I don't really care, you are doing something wrong. Because yes. I will watch movies that have no romance plotline and I will be like, guys, wait, this scene is so romantic. And it's like nothing. Like, so it's something with the movie.
I totally agree. I never got invested in the romance, even beyond the whole kind of the fact that she's infantilized and that he
is like this caregiver.
His whole thing is that he's saving her with his wealth. Mm-hmm. Even aside from that, which like I don't love that, but let's put that aside. I didn't really sense any potent romantic chemistry between the two characters.
Me either.
And that is why the movie fell apart for me.
Yeah. Edward asked Vivian to stay with him for one more night, only if she wants to. He's not going to pay her. She refuses and leaves. She goes back to her apartment to pack and move to San Francisco. She plans to like finish high school and kind of like get a new job and like leave behind this chapter of her life. Edward, meanwhile, is en route to her apartment in a limo. He arrives and climbs out of the sunroof and ascends the fire escape to rescue Vivian, just like in her fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Like he arrives in a white limousine.
Yes, and he has like flowers and he's like, I'm coming to save you. And when he asks her what happens the night who rescues her, she responds, she rescues him right back and kisses him, and the movie ends playing the iconic Pretty Woman song.
It is a good song.
It is a great song. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it is what it is. Do I think it's like an anti-feminist portrayal of a sex worker? No. Like,
definitely not anti. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is that this man literally comes in and saves her.
Yeah, but again, I would even buy it if they had chemistry.
I guess I would be more, willing to ignore those things. Yeah, if they had been really into each other.
Exactly. But it's even like, okay, your fantasy is for like a man to come save you. I would have loved for the writers to have maybe leaned into that and made her more of like a dependent character and explored.
Right, give her reason to be dependent.
Exactly.
Not just like she is.
Yeah, because she just is. But she's also, but it's like at the same time she's also like so headstrong.
Yeah.
And so kind of independent and like a great negotiator. It just wasn't entirely congruous to me. I did not buy Julia Roberts as a prostitute. I'm sorry.
No, I said to you, I was like, it's giving like Juilliard kid getting cast as like a bully, like thug kind of kid.
Yes.
I hate using that word, but like, you know what I mean?
No, but it's giving like a high school casting.
Yeah.
Like I don't buy that she's a prostitute.
No, I also don't buy that like her life circumstances have like led her to like where this is the only thing she can do.
Yes, which is very much like how it's framed.
They literally
in the film.
say that, yeah. Also, side note, there's this girl on TikTok who does like this series and it's like how long rom-com couples would stay together after the movie ends. And I was like,
wait, that's funny.
I was like, this couple would break up immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've known each other for a week.
And they're saying I love you and they're gonna like supposedly kind of get married because yeah.
Yeah, I was very lukewarm on this, and I don't think it is. I think it's such a sanitized, Hollywoodified portrayal of the sex work industry and of a sex worker. There seemed to be like genuinely no honesty to it, and I would have liked to have seen the original script.
Yeah, me too.
Like
this gritty drama. I kind of wanted to see that too. I would argue that this like barely shows the sex work industry.
Same.
And you're right. It has a very much, I mean, they literally say it in the movie, it has like a very much like Cinderella type thing, which is just like one, so inaccurate, and two, like just so offensive.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I hate when it's like, oh, she's like not like the others. Like she's special. Like,
Yeah.
I hate when movies do that. And this is like such a perfect example of that.
Yeah, she's like, literally, it's like, oh, she's not supposed to be here. She's not supposed to be in this life. She deserves better.
Exactly.
And it's like,
because
damn.
she's beautiful and articulate.
Yeah.
And like
Julia Roberts.
And Julia Roberts.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I guess go fuck yourself to all the other poor girls who are like doing this. Like, do they not deserve it?
No, exactly. Exactly.
So final rating?
Maybe like a 4.5. I was so lukewarm on it.
My exact rating too.
There we go. I don't know. Like, did I hate it? No, but like I found it so hard to get invested.
I said, meh, very overhyped. I'm not a huge fan of the main characters. It's definitely one of those movies that like I will not seek out again.
Yeah. It was pretty. It's
like Gary Marshall movies. Like I love The Princess Diaries.
Same. No, that's a
And he's
great
got-
movie.
yeah, he's
if
got
anything, I
bangers.
think he improved on a lot of the kind of My Fair Lady isms of Pretty Woman with The Princess Diaries.
Yeah, I just think this is like an overhyped movie at the end of the day.
I agree. And I get that it's a crowd pleaser, but like I don't always love crowd pleasers. I'm not like the other girls.
Yeah, you're the Julia Roberts of film. You're the Julia Roberts of picking movies.
Literally.
Yeah.
No, I am. I'm better at it than everyone else. Okay. Okay. I'll stop.
Speaking of a Cinderella story
Yes.
in sex work,
I'm so excited to talk about this movie.
I'm excited to talk about it compared to the last movie.
So our next film that we're going to talk about is, of course, Anora, which came out last year in 2024, written and directed by Sean Baker. It, as you know, absolutely swept the Academy Awards. Leading actress Mikey Madison took home the Best Actress Award. Sean Baker took home, I believe, Best Screenplay, Best Director.
Yep.
Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Editing, and Best Picture.
Yeah. It's first of all, I really love Sean Baker. I think
Same.
he's like a really great like indie filmmaker. Not so much indie anymore because this movie is blown
Yeah,
up.
not
but,
anymore.
His earlier stuff I'm like a huge fan of. It premiered at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival and won the Palme d'Or.
Which is the highest honor that a film can receive at the festival.
Yeah, and it received a wide theatrical release in October. It's distributed by Neon. I really like this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I definitely have some problems with it. Just like,
It's no way a perfect movie.
no, it's not, but it's a really good movie. Like, I wasn't super upset that it won the Oscar. I'm usually like pissed about whatever wins. But this year I was like, okay, like fair enough.
I was happy because, again, I like Sean Baker.
Same. I'm happy that he won.
And I really liked his speech where he was like, small movies matter.
Yes.
Like independent movies matter. Going to the movie theaters is important. So I liked not only that his movie won, but that like I liked what he was saying with it.
100% I agree with you. I thought he gave the best speech of the night, and I was really, really happy that he like took his win as an opportunity to like be an advocate for theater goers and theater owners. And this is a film that is very in conversation with Pretty Woman. So Zan Brooks wrote for The Guardian of the film. Annie gets to briefly play act the princess, but her handsome prince is a pumpkin and the wedding hangover will be brutal. To put it more bluntly, life is a mess, the American dream is a lie, and Hollywood rom-coms are fictions, if not outright hucksterism. Sean Baker's Anora provides an acid corrective in that it takes a movie like Pretty Woman and sticks it under a crime scene lamp to show us the stains on the sheets and the thumbprints on the crystal.
I love that.
Right? And that really resonates, I think. Like, that's exactly what this film is.
I love how we mentioned the American dream, too. I saw a really great, I forget if it was like an interview or whatever, but there's a really great use of color in this movie where red, white, and blue is like very present in a lot of the scenes. And it's literally to represent like the American dream and like how it's like kind of unachievable for Annie.
Yes.
So let's start with Anora. So Anora, Annie Makieva, is a young stripper in Brighton Beach, which is a Russian-speaking enclave in Brooklyn. Annie is played by Mikey Madison, who is kind of like, wasn't unknown before.
No.
But this is like, I mean, she climbed the ladder so quickly after this movie.
Yes.
Sean Baker actually wrote this role specifically for her after seeing her in the Scream remake.
Crazy.
I haven't seen the Scream remake, so I don't know.
Maybe she's really great in the Scream remake. I'm just like, one, Sean Baker saw the Scream remake.
Right.
And two, you were so impressed by someone's performance in that film that you wrote a role for them.
Yeah. I wonder if more so it was just kind of like her vibe.
I could
and
see
she was
that.
like the muse. And then he was like, well, she's an actress. Let me just like call her up.
I could see that.
She is great in this movie.
She is. She's incredibly well
She
cast.
is like the heart of this movie.
Very much so.
I mean, it's the titular name. But yeah, I think she does really well, which is like great because had this not been as strong of an acting performance,
the movie wouldn't have
would
worked.
have tanked.
Yeah. No, it very much rests on the strength of her performance, and she delivers a very good performance.
So when we first meet Annie, she is working a shift at an upscale Manhattan strip club. She's the only Russian-speaking dancer at the club, and so Annie is introduced by her boss to Ivan. His nickname is Vanya Zakharov. I don't really know how to say that name.
Zakharov.
Oh, look at me. And he is the son of a wealthy Russian oligarch.
Yes, and I really, really love this opening scene. We essentially follow Annie in kind of a fly-on-the-wall style through her night working at the strip club. There's a real, like, lived-in, authentic feeling to the club, which apparently came from, like, extensive research on the parts of Sean Baker and Mikey Madison. I just think it's such a great scene that kind of you just get to observe basically Annie working a shift.
This is how her night goes. I also have to point out, this is something Sean Baker does a lot in his movies, but all of the other women who work at the club are real sex workers.
Yes, they are played by actual strippers.
Yes, which is something, again, that he does a lot in his movies. He'll hire, like, non-actors usually. So Vanya, played by Mark Edelstein.
Who's so good in this.
So underrated.
The fact that he was not nominated for Best Supporting Actor was frankly insane to me. He gave one of my favorite performances of the year.
He is so funny and so hateable at the same time.
Yes.
They completely hit it off. Vanya goes on to solicit Annie for a dance.
And what's kind of interesting too is, like, you notice right away when Vanya and Annie meet that she kind of takes a liking to him. And you can imagine, also we've seen some of the other guys who have, like, gotten dances with her that evening. Imagine how rare it is for her to encounter, like, a guy her age.
Yeah, she has to deal with these older married creeps all day. And then she gets this guy who's young, cute, a little bit like
goofy.
Yeah, goofy, and also like is rich.
Exactly.
So she immediately kind of connects with him.
Vanya goes on to solicit Annie for a sexual encounter. He calls her the following day and asks her to come over, and she does.
That scene is so funny. He literally is
It's hilarious. It's so kind of uncomfortable and clearly so transactional.
It's just funny how she walks in and he's like, all right, bedroom's upstairs, come on, and like runs up the stairs with her. Also, just in comparison to Pretty Woman, how Vivian was so like childlike and like borderline silly when she comes into the penthouse. Annie is in this huge mansion and she is impressed, but she is able to be like professional and kind of knows that she's there for a job, and like it's just more how an adult would act.
Absolutely.
And I think Annie is supposed to be younger than Vivian is in Pretty Woman.
Yeah, Annie's 23. And was Vivian like 25?
I'd assume she's anywhere between like 25, 28.
Yeah.
So Vanya then has a New Year's Eve party at the mansion and he invites Annie. Annie brings her friend. They have a great time. The following morning, he offers her $15,000 to be his girlfriend for a week, and she accepts, which is much better than the $3,000.
Much better. And Annie negotiates up.
Yeah.
He, I think, initially offers her $10,000, and she says no, 15.
Yeah.
We kind of then spend the week with Annie and Vanya. We learn that Vanya spends most of his time partying and playing video games in the mansion. His parents, who are Russian oligarchs, pay his godfather Toros and Toros's henchmen Garnick and Igor to kind of keep an eye on Vanya and keep him out of trouble and clean up after his parties and after his escapades.
They are so funny, this like trio.
Yes. They're like the Three Stooges, these guys.
They'll become more important players later in the movie, but they are just great. Toros specifically makes me laugh so
funny.
hard.
And in this stretch of time where we see Annie spending time with Vanya throughout the week, Baker very consciously kind of lingers on the shots of the house cleaners and the maids and the workers who work around Vanya, who are basically like scenery to him. And very notably, Annie never looks at them because Annie is sitting with Vanya. So she's like,
she's in this bubble.
She's in this bubble, and she thinks that she's more aligned with Vanya. But in reality, it's like, honey, you're with them.
Yeah, like you're here to do a job.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's sad because Annie is the kind of character who has a tough exterior, but clearly is very vulnerable.
Yes.
And so it's sad to watch it and see her kind of like living this fantasy and being kind of like in the cool kids club. Like she's like with Vanya and his friends. And at the same time, though, you know that they don't see her like that.
Yeah,
they don't see her as a friend.
We even get a little aside at the New Year's party. We hear some of Vanya's friends talking to each other, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like that's the prostitute that like Vanya's sleeping with right now." And they're all like, "Oh,
yeah,
like she is not one of them, but she wants to be."
Yeah, and she's having a great time. Like, they go to Vegas, they're partying, they're doing all this stuff, and like
it's this like frenetic montage. It sweeps you along in the same way that Annie's being swept along. Like when I first saw that, I seen it, Anora, maybe I want to say I think this was my third time watching it. The first time I saw this montage, I felt like I was flying.
Yeah, it's fun. They're playing like party music, and everyone is smiling and drinking and partying, like. And also, I feel like we see Annie act very much her age. Like
exactly.
When she's working at the club, she is very mature. She's doing her job. She is way more kind of like
professional.
Yeah, professional.
Yeah.
And then when she's with them, she's acting like a 23-year-old. Like she's having fun.
She's having fun and she's smiling. And they like go to the beach and they're throwing stones in the ocean. And it's like,
yeah, they're goofing around.
And she seems so happy.
So as the trip approaches its end and the week is almost up with this deal that they have, Vanya reveals that he's being forced to return to Russia permanently to work at his father's company. He suggests that he doesn't have to leave if he is married to an American, and he impulsively proposes to Annie. And this really hurts me to watch because
it's rough.
Annie is so reluctant. Like at first she's like, okay, stop joking with me. And Vanya like keeps pushing it. He's like, no, I really like you. Like, let's do this. Let's get married. And you can see Annie like slowly be like, no, come on, like stop. Like, you don't really want to do that. You're talking about like, you don't really want to marry me. And he's like, no, I do. Like he's looking right into her eyes. And then finally she's like, wait, really?
They get married at a Vegas chapel, and like this is kind of the pretty woman fantasy of this film is like, it's the same thing. It's this rich guy who has come in to save her and come in to sweep her off her feet. And she is just being swept along. She is beaming.
She's smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, she is so happy because this is it. This is her savior. This is her escape. There's also in the scene where she goes to the club and resigns, there's this one little detail, like this line that she says where, and again, this is why I think Anora is such a smarter take on the pretty woman type of story. Annie's talking to another one of the strippers and talking about how her dream honeymoon is to go to Disneyland. And how like she's always wanted to go. And in that moment when I was watching it, it's like, oh, like you've probably like never really been out of New York.
Yeah.
Like you are very sheltered and naive in one way you're so not, and then in one way you are. But her naivety is utilized in this film to prove a point about class and the futility of class mobility. Where in Pretty Woman, the whole point of her naivety is to make her more charming.
Yes, exactly. It's to emphasize that she needs saving and that, you know, Richard Gere is this white knight that will come and rescue her.
Exactly.
So the news of Vanya's marriage spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, through like the Russian social media.
Yes, because he is like, Vanya's family is a big deal in Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he married a prostitute. So yeah, people are talking about it, and we find out that news has reached Vanya's mother in Russia, who is not happy to hear what her son has been up to in the US. She tells Toros, who's kind of like the guy that watches over Vanya, to track them down, secure an annulment. So Toros sends two of his henchmen, Garnick and Igor, to the mansion to confront Vanya. But yeah, so they kind of force their way into the house. It's quite a funny scene of Vanya and Annie like freaking out. These guys come in like yelling and screaming about like, you got married?
Yeah, it's funny because Vanya is like kind of has the big balls boss kind of like attitude. He's like, you losers, like you can't do this. And Annie's just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. And then when they reveal that Vanya's parents are so mad they're coming to America,
Vanya freaks out,
loses his cool so fast. I mean, he turns into a scared little boy and dips. He puts on his pants
and sprints out of the house, leaving Annie behind.
Yeah,
with these three like goons.
Yeah, and it's so funny because they're all like, what do we do? Like Igor and Garnet, like all three of the men are like, shit, okay, I'll go after Vanya and you two stay here. And they're all like, they're not like this criminals.
No, this is not like, also what they've signed up for.
Yeah, they were just there to like kind of talk to Vanya and be like, hey, we need to go to the Vegas, like get an annulment. And they're just like,
they're so lost on what to do. Annie, this is a real turning point scene for Annie. Annie freaks out when she hears that they want her and Vanya to divorce.
Yeah, she tries to tell them that they're in love, that marriage is real.
But she's screaming. Like she is angry.
Yeah, they call her a prostitute and she is like freaks out on them.
Annie turns into this kind of like rabid dog in this scene. Like she's throwing shit at them. She's like,
well, it's because when Toros leaves, he tells Garnick and Igor like, don't let her leave because we need the both of them. So kind of just like, you guys wait here and I'm gonna go get Vanya. And Annie,
and she wants to leave.
Yeah, Annie wants to go after Vanya. And they're kind of like, no. And then it turns physical really fast because Annie's already very high strung.
As she starts fighting them.
Yeah, she starts fighting them, and it leads to her like literally being like restrained.
Yes, but this is just I brought up kind of how she goes from 0 to 10 really fast, because this is when the movie turns into Annie is fighting against the tide of the film for the rest of the movie.
And Toros comes back because he can't find Vanya. He tells Annie that Vanya's wealth belongs solely to his parents and that he is like financially dependent on. He's like, you are basically dating like a little boy.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't do anything. It's his daddy's money that he uses.
He even says like, oh, you know that bed that you two sleep in? Like that's his parents' room when they're here.
Yeah. He takes her wedding ring. She starts screaming and they end up gagging her.
It's almost to the point though where they're left with no other option. Like
Yes.
she will not stop screaming.
I think we're doing not a good job explaining it. Like when I tell you this like restraining scene is like not at all malicious.
No.
It is like they are so scared themselves of her.
Oh, she kicks Toros in the face so hard she busts his nose.
I think that's Garnick.
Oh, Garnick.
Yeah.
Yes.
She fucking decks Igor and cuts his cheek, and he literally is like, damn, bitch. Like,
yeah. And the whole thing is like they don't want to fight with her.
No.
They're trying to like not fight with her.
Yeah, they're trying to be like, wait, just wait 1 second.
And she is like any moment of weakness they're showing, she's attacking.
Yeah, she is like the predator and they are the prey. So it's more for their safety.
And all she is like they're freaking out, like not knowing how to handle her. And
Right,
she's going, fuck you.
Again,
like,
they're not like hitmen. They're just like
bodyguards
they're
almost,
more
but they
like
don't deal with
bodyguards.
this.
No, not at all. So it's funny. And Toros basically offers her $10,000 to annul the marriage and help them get Vanya. And Annie insists that she and Vanya are in love and that this marriage is real. But she agrees because she does want to find Vanya and talk to him.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, I think in her head, she's clinging to the hope that, well, when we find Vanya and talk to him, he's going to also confirm that we're in love.
Yes.
And then, like, this will all be okay once we find him.
Yes, yeah. It's more so she wants the two of them to talk to his parents together and kind of work this out as a family now.
Exactly.
So they go around Brooklyn and search for Vanya. This is Annie, Toros, Garnick, and Igor. And this also shows Igor's character really well. He kind of becomes our second main character in this film.
In this stretch, yeah. So Igor is one of the henchmen. He kind of almost seems to be like the second tier henchman. Like he's the random guy that they kind of pull along.
He's just kind of like extra muscle that they call sometimes.
Exactly.
He is played by Yura Borisov.
Yes, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards last year.
I think he does really great in this role.
I think I thought he was good. I think he's very good in the role. I still really stand by, though, that if they were going to give Anora a Best Supporting Actor nomination, I think it should have been Mark Edelstein.
I think they both do a really great job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also so in love with Igor's character in this movie. I mean,
you would be.
Well, okay, the romance in Anora is way better than the romance in Pretty Woman.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, but Igor is very quiet. He's very
stoic.
Yes, stoic. He also like throughout this whole, I mean, this search through Brooklyn is like the majority of the second act, really. It's very fun. It's very comedic. But the whole time Igor, while they are looking for Vanya, Igor is kind of in the back looking at how Annie is doing.
Yes, he's the only one that seems to really care about, like, is she okay? How's she feeling? Like, how can we, like, make her, is she cold? Like, can we make her a little more comfortable? He clearly feels bad for her.
He feels bad for her, and I think he's just
he
like...
kind of likes her, too, obviously.
Well, yeah,
but,
duh.
Yeah.
It's just very sweet because this is a movie where everyone is looking to get something out of Annie and use her in some way and kind of whatever, take advantage of her.
Or just like maneuver her around.
Right. However, they need her to be maneuvered.
Exactly. Like her feelings are truly not considered by anyone in the film except for Igor.
Yeah, he is really looking out for her and he's so
he's
sweet.
You can just tell he's just like a decent person. Like he's just a decent guy who like is tasked with this really annoying job.
Yeah. They finally learn from Annie's friends at her old strip club that Vanya is there getting absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
I mean, he is having like one last hurrah before being sent back to Russia.
Exactly. And it's just like triply insulting to Annie because she had made the biggest deal out of the fact that she got picked.
Yeah.
She's getting married. She's getting out of here. So like all the girls at the club are saying like, oh, like your new husband, like, and he's back and he's getting dances. Like, aren't you only married a week? Like, it's humiliating to her.
Yeah. She finds him receiving a lap dance from this rival stripper who like Annie has had beef with kind of throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. It leads to a really heated confrontation. She tries to explain the gravity of the situation to Vanya. Like, Vanya, these people are trying to break us up. And Vanya is just absolutely hammered and isn't hearing what she's saying at all.
Yeah, it's just he's not even a person at this point. The goons kind of drag Annie and Vanya, who's still really drunk, to a courthouse, only to learn that since they got married in Nevada, their marriage can't be annulled in New York. It has to be annulled in Nevada. So Vanya's parents, who have now flown into New York from Russia, order the group to go to Las Vegas, and they obviously have a private jet that they're all going to fly into Vegas.
Yeah, they go to the airport, and this scene is hard
Brutal.
to watch.
So hard.
Annie attempts to endear herself with Vanya's mother. Her name is Galina, and she tries speaking to her in Russian. She's very polite. She
so
addresses
sad.
her formally, which is like a big deal. And Galina is just so rude and dismissive. She literally is like, hi, I'm so honored to be part of your family. Thank you so much. And even like Igor and Garnick are like, yikes, because they know it's not working out for her.
Everyone around Annie, it's like they're never going to accept her. Mm-hmm. She's a stripper, and in this world, she's never going to be one of them. This is the actions of like this kid who wanted to rebel. That is what she is to them. She's Vanya's rebellion. And she's not a person.
And Galina is just like this ice queen too. I mean, she's
like disgusted by Annie.
They are scared of her. All the men are scared by Galina. So like she literally is like, you are not part of this family. Don't talk to me. Mm-hmm. And something I have to note is she goes, even your Russian is horrible. And Sean Baker does this great thing where he shows Annie's vulnerability in very subtle ways. So like one thing is her ability to speak Russian. She, in the beginning of the film, when Vanya tries speaking to her, she refuses to speak Russian because
she's insecure that she's not completely like perfect.
Well, her accent, her Brooklyn accent is really like strong. So it kind of messes with how she says the words in Russian. And so she refuses. And then when he kind of insists, she doesn't. She's like, oh, I know it's terrible. And so when she finally does kind of be vulnerable and try to speak Russian, and it's like shot down so quickly and pointed out and belittled. And it's the same thing with her being called Annie and not Anora. Mm-hmm. Annie has all these walls that she puts up, and
she is so guarded.
And we see why. The second that she lets them down, she's attacked.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. Vanya is such a coward. He
immediately shrivels.
Yeah.
Kind of as
he's
soon
a little
as he's faced
boy
with his parents. He is a little boy. And the most kind of heartbreakingly, she's pleading with Vanya any chance she can get. She's like, Vanya, let's talk about this. Like they're trying to separate us.
Finally snaps and she's like, be a man and talk to me. I'm your wife.
And Vanya basically says like they want us to do it, so we have to do it. And then he says, but I had like a lot of fun.
He's like, thanks for making my trip to America so great. And she's like,
you had fun? This is my life.
Yeah, you're fucking up my entire life.
This is like, you just messed with my entire life.
And
I'm so glad you had fun.
Yeah, and it's so mean. I mean, the moment that she is like, wait, so you want to get a divorce?
Oh,
and he's like,
heartbreaking.
He's like, what are you, stupid? Like, of course. And her face.
And there's just the confirmation too of like, and again, not like talking down on anyone, just like in the context of the film, they see her as trash. Like she is nothing to them. She is not a person.
No.
Even to Vanya. Now he's done with her. Now real life has come back to get him.
Right.
And there's no place for
his
her in this world.
His plaything is done.
Exactly.
And of course, Vanya walks away and Igor is right there, witness to all of it. And they kind of like share this look before Annie just like defeatedly gets on the plane. So they fly to Las Vegas to sign the divorce papers. It's a very intense scene.
Yeah. Annie really angrily signs the papers, and Igor, this is the scene that made me buy like the Igor thing. Like until this point I was kind of like, okay, I feel like we don't know a lot about him. You can sense that he's kind of has his eye on Annie, but in my head I'm like, does he just really like her? Does he feel sorry for her? Like I wasn't entirely sure. In this scene, so they both sign the divorce papers, they get up to leave, and Igor says to Vanya's parents, he goes, I think Vanya should apologize to Annie.
And you are just like, thank you.
Thank
you for someone like having this poor girl's back.
Because she's so like a minnow with these sharks around her for so much of the film.
And of course it's shut down immediately. I mean, Galina
says like my son doesn't apologize to anyone.
She's like, there's no reason to. And then Annie, of course, goes right back on the offensive, and she's like, well, your son sucks and you suck. And she has a great line where Galina's like, you're a disgusting hooker. And she's like, yeah, and your son hates you so much that he married one just to piss you off. Like,
oh, so good.
And even Igor is like, holding back his laughter.
And Vanya's dad
starts cracking up.
Vanya's dad starts laughing, which is just, I loved that. I loved that he started laughing. But anyway, yeah, so Igor takes Annie back to New York, and very like in a purposeful contrast, they fly back like smushed into tiny seats in coach because Vanya and his family aren't there anymore, and they're the help.
Yeah.
So they don't get private jet privileges on the way back, and it's very much like they are back to their reality. Like the fantasy, the fairy tale is over now.
So upon arriving back, they spend one last night in the mansion while Annie's like getting her stuff together to leave. Her and Igor share like a rare moment of connection. Igor admits that yesterday was his birthday. He turned 30. And him and Annie just like have this conversation where she kind of lets her guard down. And for the first time ever in the movie, Igor doesn't go on the attack, and he actually kind of like comforts her in a weird way. They just have this like moment of understanding with each other.
Yes, I really liked this part. The next morning, Igor drives Annie back to her house, and he gives her the money that Toros promised her, the $10,000, and he discreetly returns her wedding ring.
That, when I saw that in theaters, I went, oh.
No, it's just like probably the biggest kind of kindness that Annie's shown, of just like, listen, this didn't work out for you, but like now you have some. Like,
right, at least you have this.
You're not leaving with nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Annie's like really touched by this gesture and initiates sex with him. Notably, she doesn't kiss him.
Well, she climbs over into his seat and like, again, starts like initiating sex. And Igor
tries to kiss her,
brings her in for a kiss, and Annie just freaks out and pushes away. And then
she starts like hitting him.
It's just like this floodgate opens. I mean, all the emotion that she has been pushing down
and the weakness,
the vulnerability, whatever you want to call it, it all with him trying to initiate this intimacy, this vulnerability, and her fighting it literally just brings everything up. She immediately starts sobbing.
Yeah, she breaks down.
Igor pulls her into an embrace, and the film ends with Annie crying, being held by him in the car. And it's a real like gut punch of an ending. Yeah. I mean, it just kind of it almost ends and you're like, oh. And you as the viewer are kind of left being like, what? Oh, that's the ending. Like you expect something to kind of have a more uplifting vibe.
You are, but I think, I mean, Sean Baker is so conscious about this is the Pretty Woman story if it actually happened, because no way would that happen.
Yeah.
Like, she is just taken advantage of and maneuvered and carried around by everyone around her, even though she's always fighting back. It's like the whole movie is like there's this tide that's sweeping her away, and she's so trying to swim against it, and she can't.
And I love again, a reason why I love Igor's character in this movie. You're right. It's like, that's the reality of that situation.
Yeah.
I love Igor's character in this movie because, again, throughout the entire movie, everyone sees Annie as an object, as something that they can use, as something that they can get something from. And he is the only one who sees her as a person.
Yes.
And
the
whether
only
it
one.
be because he feels sorry for her or because he likes her, but he is the only one who sees her with any type of
like dignity.
Dignity, yeah.
He's the only one who affords her any type of dignity.
Oh, yeah. And this ending scene where he has shown her kindness, and the only way she knows how to thank him is through sex, because it's just expected of her to do that. And when he doesn't want to have sex, but he does want to kiss her, he wants to kind of have more of a connection with her as a human and not just as this object to use for sex. That is when she breaks. Oh, it breaks my heart. Like,
it's so sad.
It's so sad. And I think in terms of showing sex work, you're absolutely right, where it's like, this is just like the reality. I'm not saying this situation specifically that Annie goes through. You know, you're not going to marry a rich Russian oligarch and go through Brooklyn on this goose chase. But like I said earlier, Sean Baker does this great, like, here is the day in a life. Here are some of the things that these women have to go through. Here are some of the things that they deal with on a daily. This is an example of how, like, this fantastical version of being saved just isn't.
It's just not tenable.
It's not fair to tell.
It's not. And Sean Baker has, through his entire career, he has made, his films are about people who live on the margins of American society.
100%.
He immerses himself in worlds that maybe the average middle-class American isn't familiar with. And he's very conscious about telling stories that everyone can get something from.
It's also sorry to interrupt you. It's also a niche where Hollywood loves to romanticize, or have these savior stories.
Yep.
And he does a great job of showing, like, that's not how this life works.
No, exactly. And I mean, Anora is about class struggle. It's about class divide, and it's about the futility of striving for class mobility. Annie ends up right back where she started. Is she a little bit better off? Yes, but that's only because of the kindness of someone on her level.
Yeah. Final rating for me, I would say this is probably like 7.5, 8 out of 10.
I would go 7.5.
Yeah.
That's my personal rating.
It's just, it has so many things I like. It's way funnier of a movie than I thought it would be.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about it. There are like quite a few moments of like genuinely gut-busting comedy.
Yeah, it's got great comedy. It's got great performances. It's got a very powerful ending. It's got better romance than Pretty Woman.
Yeah. I feel like that's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. But I do like the connection between Igor and Annie.
Same.
I think it's very sweet.
And I think it's also like just so needed in a film where she's so beaten down and so not a person to everyone around her. Like, you as the viewer and like Annie as the character and you as the viewer, you need that lifeline.
Right, you need something.
You need some bit of humanity in there.
So yeah, I think Sean Baker's great. I really love the stuff he's put out. I'm excited to see more stuff he puts out. And I'm happy that he's kind of like getting his flowers now.
Same, absolutely. Even the, like, I was a little bit surprised at the complete sweep at the Oscars.
Totally. I was too, especially because there were some other contenders that year who were like
pretty
shoo-ins to win.
Yeah, 100%. And but I am happy to see him get some recognition, and I do love that he's been very public about, like, even though I still have my Oscar, I still want to make small budget indie films, and I think that's super cool.
I also love how adamant he's been with this movie about showing the sex work community and the sex work industry
as it exists.
Yeah, as it
he's
exists.
Observed it. Yeah.
And I think this next movie does that in an even better way.
I would actually agree with that. So our next movie that we're going to talk about today is a 2021 film. This film is very indie.
Very indie.
It's called Pleasure. It was directed by Ninja Thyberg, and it was written by Ninja Thyberg and Peter Modesti. I saw this movie around the time it came out because I read some sort of review of, I want to say, the Toronto Film Festival or maybe SXSW, and whoever wrote the review really highlighted this film and talked about how it was one of their favorite films that they saw at the festival. And I was like kind of immediately intrigued by it. So I really sought it out when it came out, but I don't know anyone else who's seen it. I think more people should see this film.
I agree. Warning, this is a very, very, very graphic film.
Yes.
Like full nudity, sex scenes as much as they can show without it basically being so take that in mind when you do watch it. But I was a little bit worried watching this movie just because like I'm, I guess, a little bit more conservative when it comes to stuff like that in film. So when Olivia was like, oh yeah, this scene has like a lot of sex scenes and a lot of nudity, I was like, oh boy. But I think the story is really, I liked the movie a lot, and I think the story is really important. And I think in theme of what we're talking about today, it's very, very important to watch.
I really think so too. So Pleasure premiered at the 2021 Sundance Film Festival, and it was nominated for the festival's Grand Jury Prize. Okay, so Pleasure deals with the adult film industry, and we know that the P word gets like super censored everywhere.
Yes.
So we're going to be, I know it's cringy, we're going to say corn when we are talking about
we'll probably
the P
say
word.
like corn's stars or corn films or something like that.
Oh, it's
going to drive me crazy, but we'll have to just
I always
get through
cringe
it.
so hard when I see like other creators doing that when they talk about the subject, but like obviously, you know, we don't want to get taken down, so we do have to censor ourselves a little bit. So yes, this film is a look at the corn industry. It is, I think, a pretty fly on the wall clinical view on what it is like to work in the adult film industry.
It is very unsexy. Very.
Deeply unsexy.
Yeah.
This is one of, I would even argue, one of the least sexy films I've ever seen.
It's not at all glamorizing. It's not at all sexualizing, which is really important because this movie is about women in that industry and kind of what they have to go through, what their everyday looks like, and it's not glamorous.
It is not. The director really immersed herself in the world. She went to multiple corn shoots. She attended industry events. She went to like expos. She got to know people who worked in the industry because she was very concerned with painting as accurate a picture of the industry as possible. And many people who have watched the film who are in the industry, pretty much every actor in the film is an adult film star.
Yes, the main actress
yes.
aside.
So we follow Linnea. She is 19. She is a girl from a small town in Sweden who travels to Los Angeles in the hopes of becoming a famous corn star. She goes by the stage name Bella Cherry.
She is played by Sophia Kappel, and it's her first movie role.
Frankly, insane.
Yeah. She's got balls, I'll tell you that.
She gives a very brave performance in this film.
Yeah.
That in a film that demands a lot of her. And she really goes for it.
She demands
really goes
all
there.
of her, like
Literally.
mentally, physically, emotionally. And I thought she was great.
She was excellently cast.
Yeah.
She was pretty perfect in this role. And kind of very important to note, Bella is immediately characterized as she is outgoing. She is ambitious. She is not a victim. She states that she is doing corn because she likes sex. She's not running away from anything.
Yeah, she literally is. Someone asked her and she's like, I'm here because I want to be. Like I said earlier, all three of these movies introduce our characters in very intimate shots with their private parts, and hers is her shaving
Which I really, this is out of all of the nude opening shots that we've seen this week, this is my favorite.
This is my favorite too. It's the most like realistic, and
she has like she's shaving, you see like a few razor nicks.
It's not sexualized at all.
No,
at all.
And it's just like it immediately kind of sets the tone for the rest of the film as like, this is not a sexy movie.
Before her first shoot actually commences, She's pretty hesitant. She kind of gets like cold feet for a little bit. The director reassures her that it's just stage fright. You know, everyone gets this. It's just like the same if you do, theater or whatever. She eventually agrees to perform. Once the camera is on, she switches into her like natural mode.
Like porn star mode.
Yeah,
like
she
she's
turns it
immediately on. And she gets through the scene completely flawlessly. We watched this movie together.
Don't watch this movie with another person.
The first time I saw this movie, I remember really liking it and then thinking, oh God, I could never watch this with someone else. And we did.
And it was...
I feel like it wasn't as awkward as I thought it would be.
I think because you had seen it before,
Yeah.
so you knew like what was going to happen. But I think both of us watching this blind would have been...
Oh, that would have been a lot.
A nightmare. Like, I think our friendship would have had to take a break for a little bit.
Leading up to the corn shoot, the movie shows us like the standard industry practices that the actors must go through before the shoot begins. We see that like STD tests are required. Actors have to give their explicit verbal consent like to a camera before the shoot begins.
Yeah.
Women are required to clean themselves.
One of the workers on the set tells her like, if you're uncomfortable at any point, just say so. It's no problem. We can get another girl in here. This is one of the many sets we'll see Bella on.
We see a whole variety of different types of sets.
That is a big part of this movie, is just how each set is completely different than the other.
Yes, there is no like real consistent industry standard
that
is followed. It is completely dependent on what set she's on.
Yes.
So we learn that Bella is living in a house with a group of other young, aspiring porn actresses. And this is standard in the industry. These agencies will move in groups of girls together into small homes and then bring them out on go-sees and to shoots, and they all have to live together. At first, she is very standoffish to the other girls. She very clearly views them as competition, and she eventually bonds with one of her housemates, another corn star named Joy.
Yeah, this dynamic between the girls that we see grow is actually very endearing. In the beginning of the movies, one of the men tells Bella like, oh, these girls are so fake. They'll try to steal your work from you. And then when she gets to the house, she kind of has that
mentality.
Yeah, she has that mentality. And then it actually turns out the girls in this house are actually kind of the opposite. They actually help Bella with her career. And they have just like a very sweet dynamic with each other. Also, their house is like totally giving like college house.
It reminded me of
it reminded me of school.
House. The girls all attend an industry party. Also attending the party is Mark Spiegler, who is one of the most successful and demanding agents in the industry. And Mark Spiegler is a real person who made a cameo in this film, which is so funny because my first thought when I saw him was, what a repulsive toad of a man.
He is like, if you saw him on the street, you would be like, ugh, get away from that creep.
Yeah, no, he just is such a little greaseball. And he's an actual guy. And yes, actual agent who apparently thought this was going to be a more pro-corn film than it ended up being, and he was not happy with how he or the industry was portrayed in the film. Bella goes on to work on several shoots, including a BDSM scene with a female director, and this director very enforces safety and consent on the set. And this scene really stands out as like you can tell that Bella feels safe. And
it's a nice set. I mean, like,
it's a really nice set.
They're constantly checking on her. They're giving her safe words. They're giving her signals to use. The actor, they're constantly checking in on her. They're giving her water.
The other actor that she's in the scene with is like really kind to her. He's like, hey, if you're ever uncomfortable, just like tap me and like we can take a break.
They're like playing video games together on the couch.
Yeah, like you can just sense that she feels really comfortable and she has a really good experience on the set.
There's also the most women we see on this set.
By far.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, she really likes it. She requests more BDSM or rough scenes from her manager. who then sends her to another shoot for a rough scene.
Yeah, this set is completely different. There's a male director and 2 male actors.
Yes, and they are the only people on set.
Mm-hmm. And it's a rough scene.
The scene that they're performing is a non-consensual scene, and it very quickly becomes clear that very few safety measures are put in place before they begin filming. Bella is completely overwhelmed and frightened once the scene begins, and they're being so cruel to her.
And they're being really, really rough with her. I mean, on the last set, that's part of what the scene is,
Mm-hmm.
but they're clearly being safe about it. I mean, these men are throwing her around, and it is like,
it's really hard to watch.
It's hard to watch, and it's also hard to like, I don't know. I said to you off camera, I was like, when you're on a film set or a TV set or anything, there are so many people who are there just to make sure people are safe. There's
Mm-hmm.
intimacy coordinators. There's security. There's people from the network or for the production company or whatever, specifically there to be like, I'm making sure everyone is safe and everyone is like doing okay.
And these are things where people aren't even having sex.
No.
They're acting.
Yeah.
And it is really interesting to see that, like, in this world where people are really exposing themselves and like getting as vulnerable as one can possibly get on camera, there's no real standard for safety or for consent.
And it's also the kind of set where like there's so much opportunity to get hurt. I mean, Bella on the last set is tied up very intricately, and it's like, if that goes wrong, you could really hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. You could die. Like, so it's crazy that there's on these different sets, even on this set, that's this like rough, non-consensual scene. They could really hurt her, and they do really upset her emotionally.
Very much so.
Yeah.
She actually has like a breakdown kind of in the middle of the scene and starts yelling. She starts yelling, stop, telling them to stop. They stop the scene, and her co-stars and the director initially comfort her and try to reassure her, and then they resume again. She very quickly has to stop again. She is really not, I mean, it's incredibly intense.
It's intense, and like it's also, I wouldn't even say they comfort her. It's more like they coerce her.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah.
They coerce her. And when she stops again and then says, actually, no, I would like to leave. I don't feel comfortable here. It very, very quickly becomes clear that she is the lone woman in this room with 3 men.
Yeah.
And they are not happy that she wants to leave.
Yeah.
They start kind of threatening her. They start getting very aggressive with her, saying, well, you know, like, we're not going to pay you if you don't finish the scenes. Like, you essentially just did that for free. She does finish the scene. She feels as if she's given no other choice, which she's not.
No, she's not.
And she vomits in her car on the way home.
Yeah, she goes right to her manager afterwards and confronts him about like how messed up that set was. Mm-hmm. And the manager was getting me so angry because she uses the R word, and he was like, well, don't go throwing that word around just because you had a bad day on set. And it's like, but that's what happened. And that's what I mean, where it's like, it's crazy that this is a situation where things like that can happen. Mm-hmm. But because it's their work, it's like, well, you just had a bad day at work.
There was no sort of safety or consent enforced on this set. She was very much intimidated into finishing a scene that she was having a really hard time with. And it's really hard to watch. I also thought that it's shot in kind of a fragmented way. Mm-hmm. Like, it cuts in and out. You see like different close-ups of like their eyes and their hands, and you hear her struggling.
Yeah.
And I thought it was shot in such an effective and kind of artful way, while still really enforcing how violent what's happening to her is.
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was like really,
it's a hard scene to watch.
Nauseating to watch. Yeah. Very understandably, Bella is upset with her manager and fires him.
Yeah.
So she calls Spiegler and tries to get him to be her new manager. He turns her down, basically citing her weak social media following and saying that he only accepts actresses willing to do extreme scenes. They're kind of known for this. The Spiegler girls are kind of known to do like really hardcore stuff.
And Bella, being kind of a newcomer to the industry, has been very explicit about only wanting to do kind of specific types of scenes that are more on the not as extreme. She doesn't want to do anything that would be considered extreme.
Yeah, she's just not ready. I mean, she's a newcomer, like you said. She, however, kind of reluctantly realizes that this is the only way she's going to move up in the industry. So she decides to participate in an interracial threesome shoot.
Yes. And the movie also does touch on kind of like the racism that's very inherent to the adult film industry.
Which I didn't know about at all.
About how in a lot of contracts that are presented to the women in the industry, interracial is classified as an extreme type of corn. The movie does make a point of kind of emphasizing how interracial scenes are fetishized and otherized.
And not only does she do this shoot, she does it free of charge.
Yes, because she's hoping that they do something that we're not going to say for YouTube reasons.
Obviously.
She does something very extreme in this shoot that she knows will get some notoriety.
It'll definitely get some traction.
Yes, and it does. And she does it for free, and it works. Spiegler then agrees to meet with her.
I also just want to highlight, before we move on from this scene where she does this really extreme thing, one thing I really like about this movie is it shows like the good and the bad.
Yeah, it shows that there are good people in this industry.
Yeah, not only do Bella's housemates really help her and support her in like her times of need, but there's one character who is pretty consistent like throughout this movie, and he is one of the actors with her in this film, and he is very upset when she first shows up on set, and he is like, I don't want to hurt you. Like I care about you, and like I'm not happy that like you're putting yourself in this situation because I know you said you don't want to do these types of things. And we actually I thought
it was a really nice moment.
I couldn't watch the scene, just like I was a little too upset by it.
I have seen this movie 3 times now, and I haven't been able to watch the scene. So yeah, Spiegler agrees to meet with her. He hires her off of the notoriety she's gained from doing this one scene. She is then given a chance to film a scene with her friend, Joy, and they have a really major falling out after Bella refuses to defend her when she experiences harassment and on-set abuse from their male co-star, who she kind of has a history with, and they don't like each other.
Yeah, first of all, this scene is so hard to watch just because like Joy has been such a good friend to Bella, so you want her to do the right thing.
You want her to do the right thing and defend
also
Joy, and she doesn't.
Actor is such a dick in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just the absolute worst. So Bella is then given a chance to film a scene with Ava, who is the famous corn star that she is
Bella's
like
kind of idolized.
Yes, it's like her, again, this goal she wants to achieve, to be on her level. Ava completely humiliates her, however, on the set. Ava is very like
she's a bitch. She's just like a bitch.
She's like the opposite of girls helping girls.
Yeah, she sees other women as competition, and if she engages with them, it's kind of only to make fun of them or kind of belittle them or remind them that they're a little below her.
Yeah, she humiliates her when she refuses to perform a certain sexual act on Bella.
And claims that like she has an infection.
Yeah, that she's not cleaned herself.
Which is like very... embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. I probably would have fought her. Like, honestly,
no, Bella. When we were watching it, and Bella like doesn't say anything. Like she just kind of sits there and like lets this girl insult her, and both of us were like, the way we would have freaked out.
Yeah,
like
you were like, I would have been like, no, I don't. No, I don't.
No, I don't. No.
So they changed the scene so that Bella.
How do we like?
I don't even know how to say this part. Bella will act as the man.
Yes.
In this shoot,
using an aid,
a toy.
Yes.
Bella begins to act very violently towards Ava.
Kind of in retribution for...
Yes, she's kind of letting out that anger that's been building up pretty recently.
It is such an effective scene. This is the scene that makes, in my opinion, the whole film come together. Of like, we have watched Bella be violated on sets, and we have watched actors treat her without respect on sets, and then to watch her, the moment she's kind of given a little bit of power, take it out on someone because someone insulted her. And it's like, it's the kind of thing of like, okay, she insulted you, you are taking her dignity away, you are humiliating her in the most intense and the most personal way.
Yeah. And when you said that, I said that to you earlier. It's so awful because she knows what it's like to be in that situation. And so for her to then do it to someone else, just in that moment of like, I know what this feels like and I want you to feel it because I'm angry at you, is like, gets dark and
really dark.
Bella finally kind of has this like moment where she remembers just how awful it was when she was violated on set.
In the scene, we hear like very faintly the shouts and pleas that Bella made for them to stop in the scene where she felt she was taken advantage of. And like we hear her remembering what it felt like, and that's what kind of
pulls her out of
the anger haze.
Yeah. And later on, she's with Ava in the car, and she kind of like feels very uncomfortable and kind of awkwardly looks over and is like, I'm really sorry. And Ava is so oblivious. She's like,
that was the most disturbing thing.
Yeah, that part, I didn't really pick it up until you pointed it out after the movie ended. But I was like, I think you're right, where it's like, damn, what does she go through on a daily where when I tell you it was nothing to her, she was like, what for? What are you sorry for?
Yeah, and it's like, what
clearly it affected Bella so much.
And I think it is that makes Bella get out of the car. I think it's that realization of like, oh, if I want to be you, what will I have to keep going through?
Yeah, they're at the party for a little bit and she sees her old friends, and she's also sitting in this like exclusive VIP section, which earlier in the movie she tries to get in and she can't. And now that she's in there,
it's
literally
boring. They're just sitting there.
Oh, it's like the most miserable time ever. They're literally all sitting there on their phone, not talking. And she is bored to tears and she sees her friends having fun. And you're right. I think it's that realization of kind of what she has to go through
and like
in order to keep this,
and kind of like how far will I have to wade into like the ugliness of this,
and also like, is it worth it? Now she's at the top and she's miserable. It sucks.
Listen, whatever you may feel about corn from a moral standpoint, you know, that is your own business. Everyone is allowed to feel however they want to feel about corn.
And a lot of people have very, very different opinions on it.
Very much so. But I think that one thing that everyone should be able to agree on is this is a multi-billion dollar industry. This is an incredibly wealthy and incredibly profitable industry that routinely abuses, disregards, and underpays its most essential workers, which are the female corn stars.
100%.
And I think that that is something that this film calls attention to. And I think that there are a lot of people who watch corn and who consume it on a daily basis. And I think that a film like this that really goes through lengths to show you what the actual industry is like and what is behind the sexy videos, I think it's a really important film. And I'm really happy that it was made.
I 100% agree with you. I think out of all three, I enjoy this movie in the terms of sex work on film the most, because it does not in any way villainize the workers, the female workers. It calls out the industry.
Very, very much so. Even like we're shown many male workers who are nice people and who are kind to Bella and who are worried about her comfort and safety. Like, it's not even like men are villainized, but
no, not
this is
at all.
A very direct call out to the industry.
Yes, it's calling out the corn industry as a whole. It's not calling out like again, something like Pretty Women, where it kind of villainizes like the people who are there in less fortunate circumstances. In fact, most of the girls, we don't know why they're in this industry in pleasure. And when we do find out, it's kind of seems like it's of their own choice.
Yeah, and I liked that this film didn't focus on the victimhood of either Bella or any of the other corn stars around her. The film does not moralize at you at all about it. It really, really, it's a fly on the wall experience. You are shown what it's like, and you're allowed to make up your own mind about it. And I do really like a movie that doesn't moralize at you. And this film could have so easily fallen into that.
It could have preached at you in the worst way possible, and it doesn't.
Yeah, no. And I just think that, do I think it's an absolutely perfect movie? No, but with the ever-growing presence of corn, with the youth of today and with the adults of today, I am really happy that something like this was made.
So what would your final rating be?
I feel like I probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7. Yeah, like 6.5, 7, I would say. I think it's like very well made, very strong performances. And also, just have to throw in there, I really thought it would have been impossible to make a film like this and not sexualize your female lead. They managed to do it. She is not shown in a sexual light at all. The camera never leers at her. The camera never lingers. Nudity in the film is very clinical.
Yeah. It's objective.
It's objective, and I really appreciated that. And because this is something that, again, possibly with a different kind of director who might not be female, I could see this dipping its toe into becoming the thing that it's about. And this film very consciously never does.
I think I'm probably going to give it closer to like a 4.5 out of 10. Solely for the reason I did really like this movie. But just because of
it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
Because of its graphic content, my stomach was a little bit queasy the entire time.
Fair enough. It's definitely like not it's not really meant to be a good time.
No. Again, I did really like it, and I thought it was really interesting. I'm glad I watched it. I literally don't think I will ever watch it again.
Yeah, I never thought I would either.
Yeah. And now you're on your third watch.
Now I'm on my third watch because I watched it for the pod, and then
Olivia was like, I hadn't seen it yet. Olivia was like, do you want to watch it together? I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was more of a time thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, today was definitely an interesting episode. I feel like all of the film, actually no, 2 of the films we watched, I just thought were really interesting kind of portrayals of women who live lifestyles like I just wouldn't know or be familiar with. And it's cool to see them portrayed in like a relatable and humanistic way.
I'm glad we did this episode because I feel like sex work, specifically in film and portrayed in Hollywood, is one of those things that has been villainized and has been really, I hate to use the word belittled because I have a very complex opinion about like sex work, and I'm not going to get into it because that's like a whole other hour of this episode. But like, you know, you see movies like Pretty Woman and other movies that came out like pre 2010 that show prostitutes and show strippers and show escorts and sex workers as these like non-humans.
Exactly. If they're not props in scenes, which 90% of the time they are, they're kind of there to be naked and pretty. If they're not props, they're victims.
Yeah.
And or things to be saved by the more by the more relatable main characters.
They're put into like 2 categories in my mind. They're the woman who doesn't deserve this life, who needs to get out, who deserves better and needs to be saved. And then there's the like one-dimensional like prop of a character that is used only to be, and this is not my words, this is just the language that people would use, is like to be a quote-unquote whore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we are forgetting about, of course, the syphilitic prostitute who dies to further the plot of their male main character.
Les Miserables.
Les Miserables, Moulin Rouge.
Yep.
so many. There was in Penny Dreadful, if you've seen that. Oh God, there's so many of them.
So I'm happy that we've come such a long way to show that these women, because most of the story revolve around women, at least the movies that we covered today.
People.
That's what I was about to say. Like it shows that they're actual people that go. This is just a everyday part of their lives, and to some people, they see them still as props, and it shows how
it
that
affects
mindset
them.
affects them. So I'm happy with the attention that it's getting in Hollywood, and I'm happy with the narrative changing.
Same. I think that it's definitely heading in the right direction with like viewing all people regardless of class and profession as human beings and treating them as such, because interesting and humane and relatable stories can be found everywhere.
I just watched this really great documentary on Netflix about the Gilgo Beach murders. I don't know if you're familiar with that case at all.
I'm not.
But basically it's many women were murdered. And when I say many, women and other individuals, I don't know like the exact identity of some of the, so I'll just say like people. But almost all of them were escorts. And the documentary does a really, really, I highly recommend it to people, really great job showing how women in sex work are just not taken seriously when they go missing or they're murdered or anything like that. And the family members do a really great job advocating for their loved ones, and it highlights the sex work community in a really humane way.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's funny that we did this episode because I literally just watched it on the plane back from Florida.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like it's just crazy how these went hand in hand with each other.
Yeah, no, it's always funny how things can work out like that.
Yeah, but I really recommend it if you like true crime. It's a really interesting case, and it again like really does a great job showing these people in a really human way.
Definitely. And so thank you for joining us this week. We know that this was definitely not our typical fare here.
Yes.
But we appreciate you like hanging out and listening to us. We like to explore like disparate topics and see how they're portrayed in cinema. That's kind of our whole thing.
And we hope this like inspires you to like, even if you don't watch these movies, which we highly hope that you do, but I at least hope that like it gets you the conversation about like sex work like started. Like, you know, I want this to kind of lead people to wonder like about these things, because I feel like not a lot of people talk about them.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And if you would like to join us next week, we will be watching food movies. Big shift into something a lot more family friendly.
A lot more lighthearted.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will be watching Ratatouille.
Love.
The Menu. And Boiling Point.
I have seen 2 out of the 3. I'm very excited to watch them back to back to back.
Same. I've seen 3 out of the 3, but I haven't seen Ratatouille since I was 9.
I was going to say, it's been like
so
easily
long.
12 years for me.
Yeah, and I remember really loving it when I was a kid, so I'm like really excited to revisit it and talk about it with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we hope that you guys watch along with us this week so you could join us next week and participate in the conversation. Please leave any thoughts in the comments and be nice to us, please.
Please be nice to us.
Yeah, we don't handle criticism or meanness very well, actually. We're very sensitive.
We're just starting out too. I mean, you'll break our spirits if by episode 7 we're getting hate comments. Like, we're not going to last.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we're fragile. We're fragile little ladies. But anyway, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.